Once you have launched the packet tracer, you need to log in into an account, or if you do not have a Cisco account, you could actually log in as a guest. For this demonstration, we're going to show you how to configure a typical router and to show you how connectivity or wireless connectivity can be achieved between the routers and wireless clients. So for a start, let us clear this screen. For the simulation software, it allows you to visualize the devices for you to be able to achieve network connectivity. I'm going to look at a wireless device. Okay, there is an icon here that allows you to see wireless devices. So I'm going to click on the icon and I'm going to select Home Router onto the drawing board. Okay, so I'm just going to rename it and call this a Home Wi-Fi router. Right, now the next one that we need to do, as we have discussed in the earlier lesson, we would need to configure the Wi-Fi router. In order for us to be able to successfully configure the Wi-Fi router, we would need a notebook computer or a computer to connect to the Wi-Fi router. So we have to select the icon here, a laptop icon. We're going to select this cable, a local area network Ethernet LAN cable, and this is also known as a straight cable, and we're going to connect it to the fast Ethernet port or the LAN port of the laptop, and we're going to connect it to any one of the Ethernet ports of the home router. So this is the connection. Right, now once you have successfully connected to the router, click Open the laptop. I'm going to maximize here. Click on IP configuration and change from static to DHCP. So DHCP is actually a protocol that will automatically give an IP address to the laptop. I'm going to close this, and the next step is to click on the web browser, okay, and use the following IP address: 192.168.0.1. Usually this is the IP address of, or usually this is the default IP address that is provided by the manufacturer of the router. So for our demonstration purposes, we are actually simulating a Linksys router, and in a typical Linksys router, the standard IP address that is provided by the manufacturer to connect to the router is 192.168.0.1. In our simulation, since we are using the Linksys router, the manufacturer has also created a default username and password each time a product is being used. So that is why it is very important for us to go in, log in using the default username and password, and eventually change it for security purposes. The username and the password that is provided by the Linksys manufacturer is usually admin. So once you have already successfully logged in into the router, this is how the interface will look like. So once we have successfully logged in, we go to wireless and take a look at the basic wireless settings. So under the basic wireless settings, you can decide whether you would like to enable both the 2.4 GHz frequency and the 5 GHz frequency, or just the 2.4 GHz frequency. For purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to disable the 5 GHz frequency and just use the 2.4 GHz frequency. Now, if you can still recall what we have done, you need to give the SSID a name. By default, the SSID is called default. So I'm going to give a name to the SSID and call it home. And please remember that SSID is actually a case-sensitive alphanumeric word, okay, that distinguish a router or a network from other networks. So you may notice that if you were to be at home and you would try to connect to a Wi-Fi, or you use your mobile devices to try to connect to a Wi-Fi, you will see a whole range of SSID. Okay, that is why it's also good practice for you to hide the SSID once you have configured the SSID. Well, we have mentioned earlier on that it is good practice for us to disable the broadcast of the SSID. So after we have given a name to our SSID, in this case I'm giving it home, I would like to disable the SSID. And we would like to be able to set the channel. There are multiple channels for you to choose from, channel number 1 all the way to channel 11. So in this case, I'm just going to leave it as channel number 1 for demonstration purposes. And we leave the channel bandwidth as auto. Alright, so scroll down and make sure you save your settings. Alright, so once your settings has been changed, go to wireless security. And because we are only using the 2.4 gigahertz, we would like to enable the wireless security. And if you can remember, we suggested that you use the WPA2. Alright, for home routers, use WPA2 personal. Alright, and you use the AES and give a passphrase. So passphrase or password is where devices that tries to connect to your home router, okay, would have to authenticate themselves with. They would have to put in the password, and the router would have to verify that the password is the same as the password that the router has been configured. So in this case, I'm just going to give a test 123 as the password. Everything is in capital letter. Okay, so not to be confused. And I make sure I save my settings. Well, when I try to save my settings, alright, there is a default length and default minimum of a password. It says here the password or the passphrase should be minimum 8 and a maximum of 63 ASCII characters long. So if that is the case, let's count how many passwords or how many characters did we use just now. We use test 123, which is short of one more character. So I'm going to put test 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives me exactly 8 characters. Let me try to save again. And I have saved. And that's it. I have successfully configured my router. So if you would like to change the password of the router upon logging in, just now if you can recall that the password was admin, the username was admin, and the password was admin, I want to change, I go to administration, and I change the router password here. So the username we can't change, it's called admin, and the password, for example, was admin, so I'm going to change it to admin123. And I repeat the password change, admin123, and I save my settings. So now, once I have saved my settings, the router immediately logs itself out and asks me to verify the new password one more time. So I'm going to put in admin123. Sorry, the username is admin, and the password is admin123. Okay? And I have successfully changed my password, and it allows me to continue as per normal. So it is a very simple step for you to configure your home router. Just need to remember when you first log in, okay, please go to the wireless tab, go to basic wireless setting, and make sure you give a name, alright, to your SSID. Alright, disable the SSID broadcast. You can select any channel for your router to operate, or you can leave it as default, and the bandwidth, we would recommend you to put it on auto. Following that, you click on wireless security under the sub-tab here and make sure your security mode is set to WPA2 personal, and then after that select the encryption as AES and put in your passphrase, and don't forget to save. That's all you need to do for you to configure your router. It is that simple. So once that is done, you can close. Okay, your router has been successfully configured. Next, we are going to introduce some wireless client and see how a wireless client is able to connect to your router. So at the moment, you have the laptop that is trying to connect to the home router. You need to do a few settings to the laptop in order for you to be able to connect to the home router. So click on the laptop. I'm going to maximize my screen. On the power, go to PC wireless of the laptop here. Okay, and make sure you key in your wireless name. So currently it is not able to detect any of your wireless network because your wireless network broadcast SSID has been disabled. So if that is the case, then you need to manually enter the SSID. If you do not want to do that, you can leave your SSID broadcast to be enabled. But as we have mentioned earlier, we would like to disable the SSID broadcast. We have disabled the SSID broadcast. Okay, we would need to key in the SSID name. And if you can remember, the SSID name that we gave was home. Right, so I'm going to key in the SSID name and I'm going to select the infrastructure mode and I click next. Okay, so I can set the laptop to automatically obtain its IP address through a protocol that is known as a DHCP. Okay, so I select this option to have your network settings assigned automatically. Then I click next. And I have to make sure I select the correct security profile that I've created onto the router. And the security profile that we have created a while ago was actually WPA2 personal. And I click next. And the preset key, if you can recall, was test 1234. So we enter the preset key, all right, which is test 1234, and we click next. And we have the rest of the configuration set up and we save it. So your profile has been successfully connected, or your profile has been successfully configured. So now we click on to connect to the network. Okay, so once you have clicked connect to the network, you notice that the PC or the notebook could automatically connect to the access point. And you will realize that your laptop is connected successfully to your home router. Another one, you could try out to connect a regular computer, for example, to connect to your home network. So by doing that, you can use the same technique. Switch off the computer, remove away the wired connection, and put in the wireless dongle. Switch on the computer, go to the desktop, go to the PC wireless, alright, and go to advanced setup. Let me maximize this again. Okay, make sure the wireless network is called home. Click next. Okay, and we set this setting to obtain the network automatically, to obtain the network settings automatically, and we click next. Alright, and the security that we have selected was WPA2 personal, and we click next. And the preset key was test 1234, and we click next, and we save the profile. Okay, and we connect to the network, and soon you will see that connection to the access point is successful. And if you were to close this, you will see now that the PC also have achieved connectivity to the router. Now let's try one more wireless client, for example, a wireless tablet. Click on the wireless tablet, go to the wireless interface, change the SSID back to home, the one that we have already created. Make sure you select the WPA2 and the passphrase was test 1234 again. And we are done. Alright, so now we close. Notice that your tablet has also achieved a wireless connectivity. So a packet tracer is a very useful tool for us to be able to visualize the wireless connectivity between our devices. So we hope that this demonstration will be able to give you some insights as to how to configure your router as well as your client, and then to achieve a network connectivity which is a wireless network connectivity, also known as a Wi-Fi, between your devices and the router. That's the end of the demonstration, and thank you very much for watching.